Good evening. Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius, and it is better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. Welcome to Bmc News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. State budget will drive deficit to less than 1% of GDP by 2024. Bahrain sustainable housing strides highlighted at UN Habitat Summit. Kuwait deported 680 expatriates in just 3 days. Saudi Arabia and Oman discussed launching uniform tourist visa in joint tourism calendar. UK announced a major visa change for Gulf and Jordanian visitors. India and United States held first meeting of strategic trade dialogue ahead of Prime Minister's visit. News in detail. Labour Minister leads Bahrain's delegation in the International Labour Conference. Jamil bin Muhammad Ali Humaidan, Labour and Social Development Minister and Labour Market Regulatory Authority Board of Directors Chairman, led Bahrain's delegation in the 111th session of the International Labour Conference held in Switzerland from June 5th to 16th. ILC is a key conference held annually by the International Labour Organization, bringing together tripartite delegations from member states. It discusses employment and social protection issues and strengthens the tripartite conciliations. The conference will focus on the discussions of the Director General of the International Labour Office's report on advancing social justice. The report deals with the repercussions of various factors and crises that negatively affect labour markets, the advancement of social justice and the promotion of decent work. State budget will drive deficit to less than 1% of GDP by 2024. The government of Bahrain has concluded its state budget for the period 2023-2024, putting fiscal responsibility and economic growth at the heart of its medium-term plans. Set against the backdrop of strong economic growth of 4.9% in 2022 and a reduction in the overall fiscal deficit of 47%, the budget sets out a range of new growth and non-oil revenue raising measures to drive sustainable development in the kingdom, ensure public finances remain on a stable footing, and enhance the quality of life for Bahraini citizens. New budget measures include over 50 new fully funded infrastructure projects worth over 1.5 billion over the next 2 years, increases to living allowance for public sector workers and pensioners, as well as spending efficiency initiatives as part of the government's multi-year fiscal balance program. The government's fiscal reform targets as part of the fiscal balance program remain on track, with the budget forecasts assuming a conservative estimate of $60 per barrel. Together with the past efforts to consolidate government spending, the reforms announced in this budget will lead to a budget deficit of less than 1% of GDP in 2024. Bahrain's sustainable housing strides highlighted at UN Habitat Summit. Housing and Urban Planning Minister Amna bint Ahmed Al Rumaihi stressed Bahrain's strides in achieving sustainability in the housing sector. She highlighted the role of the ministry in spearheading programs in partnership with the private sector, citing the Housing Finance Program, the government-led Rights Development Program, which aimed to guarantee citizens immediate access to housing service without waiting periods. Addressing the second session of the UN Habitat being held on June 5th to 9th in the Kenyan capital Nairobi, Al Rumaihi noted that the government gives full priority to provide decent housing for citizens through innovative and optimal programs and initiatives. She noted that the Housing Finance Program, which raised the ceiling of maximum and minimum financing value, attracted more than 7,000 applicants to benefit from financing within only 10 months. Education Minister participated in Khalifa Award for Education distribution ceremony. Dr. Muhammad bin Mubarak Juma, Minister of Education and member of the Board of Trustees of the Khalifa Award for Education, participated in distribution ceremony of the 6th edition of the Khalifa Award for Education, held under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Vice President, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of the Presidential Court, Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Al Nahyan, Minister of Tolerance and Coexistence, Vice Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Khalifa Educational Award, also attended the award distribution ceremony. Dr. Mohammed bin Mubarak Juma extended his thanks and gratitude to His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, for their unwavering support to the education sector in Bahrain, enabling it to develop global partnership. The Education Minister affirmed the depth of the long-standing fraternal Bahrain-UAE relations, praising the steady progress of bilateral ties across various fields, particularly education. The Minister of Education praised the advanced level reached by the Khalifa Award for Education, as it now attracts researchers and specialists in education, higher education and early education. Inmates provided with facilities to sit their final exams. The Director General of Reformation and Rehabilitation affirmed that all procedures had taken to provide the required facilities to enable inmates enrolled in different educational levels to sit their final examinations in cooperation with the Education Ministry. The General Directorate said that it had eliminated all barriers to facilitate the registration and to provide the textbooks as part of commitment to ensure the right to education for all inmates as per the regulations in force. In this regard, the Education Ministry said that in coordination with the Interior Ministry, inmates registered for the secondary school certificate were treated like other students as they were provided with digital textbooks and enabled to sit their exams normally like their counterparts at schools. LMRA conducted 5 joint inspection campaigns in the capital, northern and southern governorates. The Labour Market Regulatory Authority, the Ministry of Interior and the government-related entities continue their joint efforts to intensify inspection campaigns against illegal practices in the labour market in order to preserve a competitive, fair and stable labour market. LMRA announced it had conducted 5 joint inspection campaigns on Tuesday, 6th June 2023, resulted in reporting violations related to the labour market and residency laws. The cases were referred for legal action. The campaigns were held in coordination with the General Directorate of Crime Detection and Forensic Evidence of the Ministry of Interior in the capital and the northern governorates. The third campaign was carried out in the southern governorate in coordination with the Nationality, Passports and Residence Affairs and the governorate's Police Directorate. The fourth campaign was conducted in the capital governorate in coordination with the Sentence Enforcement Directorate at the Ministry of Interior. The fifth campaign in the Southern Governorate was coordinated with the Ministry of Electricity and Water Affairs, the Southern Governorate and the Southern Municipality. Now we will be back after a very short break. The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahala. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination. Welcome back. Kuwait deported 680 expatriates in just 3 days. Kuwait deported 680 expatriates in just 3 days at the end of May, according to reports in local media. The expatriates were from Asia and Africa, said the Al-Qabas Daily. They were deported by the Ministry of Interior between May 27th and May 29th. The expelled expatriates were identified as coming from 8 different countries and had been held at the Talha prison before being sent out of the country. Local media reports said the deportations were ordered due to violations of residence and labor laws, criminal proceedings and administrative deportations. Kuwait's Public Relations and Security Media Department of the Ministry of Interior said the individuals were photographed, given fingerprint records and put on flights out of the country promptly. Saudi Arabia and Oman discussed launching uniform tourist visa and joint tourism calendar. Saudi Arabia and Oman discussed the prospect of launching a uniform tourist visa and a joint tourism calendar. These topics figured high during the visit of Saudi Minister of Tourism Ahmed Al-Khatib to Oman. The visit witnessed the launch of a number of joint tourism initiatives and programs aimed at attracting international tourists, citizens and expatriates of the GCC countries. The initiatives, which were discussed by Al-Khatib and Oman's Minister of Heritage and Tourism, Salim Al-Mahrouki, included working on launching a unified tourist visa, a number of seasonal trips between the two countries, and launching a joint tourism calendar. One of the initiatives focused on activating trade and investment cooperation, especially projects in the tourism sector, and supporting entrepreneurs interested in tourism in the two countries. The initiatives also included training and developing human cadres in the tourism sector under the umbrella of the Gulf Tourism Strategy 2023-2030, which was approved by the leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries last December. UK announced major visa change for Gulf and Jordanian visitors. The UK government has announced a major change to visit visa requirements for GCC nationals. The government will remove visit visa requirements for citizens from the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain and also Jordan. Instead, they will offer an electronic travel authorization lasting 2 years for just $12. It means Gulf travelers and Jordanians will have entry requirements in line with citizens of the US and Australia. The announcement said nationals from the Gulf Cooperation Council states in Jordan will soon only be required to pay £10 to apply for an ETA, which will allow them to visit UK multiple times over a 2-year period. This is compared to Gulf nationals currently paying £30 per visit to the UK under the current electronic visa waiver scheme, and Jordanian nationals £100 for a visit visa. 4.9 magnitude quake struck southern Haiti, 4 dead and dozens injured. An earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 4.9 struck southern Haiti early Tuesday, killing at least 4 people and injuring 36 others, authorities said. The quake struck before dawn near the southwestern coastal city of Jeremy at a depth of 6 miles, according to the US Geological Survey. 2 homes collapsed in the quake, and a key route that connects Jeremy and Les Cayes was blocked, according to Haiti's Civil Protection Agency. 3 of the fatal victims were from the same family and were found under a collapsed house where rescuers were searching for more people. A crowd of people gathered around one home that collapsed as they tried to search for survivors in the rubble. Tuesday's earthquake comes as Haiti struggles to recover from heavy floods over the weekend that killed at least 51 people, injured 140, and flooded nearly 31,600 homes. Prime Minister Ariel Henry has requested international assistance. India and US held first meeting of strategic trade dialogue ahead of Prime Minister's visit. India and the US launched the strategic trade dialogue in March during a visit to New Delhi by US Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo. Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra co-chaired the first meeting of the India-US strategic trade dialogue in Washington that reviewed cooperation on export controls for sensitive technologies and work to build diversified and resilient supply chains. Quatra's visit to Washington with an Indian delegation is part of the preparations for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the US later this month. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is expected to visit India next week as part of the ongoing preparatory meetings, people familiar with the matter said on Wednesday. India and the US launched the strategic trade dialogue in March during a visit to New Delhi by US Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo. The dialogue, led on the US side by the Undersecretary of the Bureau of Industry and Security of the Commerce Department, is focused on aligning the export controls of the two countries, enhancing high technology commerce and facilitating technology transfers. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I'm Binod Narayan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.